Good morning. Today we are going to talk about nociceptors under the topic sensory neuroscience and pain pathways. So, what are nociceptors? What is nociception? Noci means in Latin, it is to cause injury. So, in a pain situation, first there is an injury that causes the nociceptors to be stimulated. So, nociceptors, here we see it is a to injure or to hurt. And nociceptive means sensitive to noxious stimuli. Nociceptors are sensory receptors that detect signals from damaged tissue or threat of damage and indirectly also respond to chemical release from the damaged tissue. So it is stimulated not only by the injuring agent but by also the reactive agent by the body. So by both these things the nociceptors are stimulated, and their nociceptors are free nerve endings found on the skin, muscle, joints, bone and viscera. These are the areas we find nociceptors. Nociceptors are not present in brain. So in the skin, and so I'll just show the types of nociceptors. As I told, these are the free nerve endings, and these are the encapsulated nerve endings, sensory cell peripheral processes. These are the nociceptors. From here they go to the ganglia, from the ganglia they go to the central nervous system. This is the systematic representation of a nociceptor pathway. So it is represented here. The receptor to the central nervous system, it travels. And when we come to the type of nociceptors, as I mentioned, we have the skin nociceptors, the joint nociceptors, visceral nociceptors, and one more known as the silent nociceptor. We will see one by one. So in skin nociceptors, there are four types of nociceptors. One is the mechanoreceptors, thermal, chemical, and polymodal. So as the name suggests, we know mechanical is the pressure sensitive, thermal is due to the sensitive to heat and cold, chemical for chemicals, and polymodal is it is responsible for all these stimuli. So in the skin, we have these kinds of stimuli, like a pinch is a pain. Pressure or pain will be through nociceptor. These are the free nerve endings. And we have the hot and cold receptors, the touch receptor, and the chemical receptors. So all these receptors are present in the skin. When we come to joint receptors, the joint capsule and ligaments contain high threshold mechanoreceptors, polymodal nociceptors, and silent nociceptors. So they contain neuropeptides such as substance P and calcitonin gene-related peptides (CGRP). Liberation of such peptides is believed to play a role in the development of inflammatory arthritis. So this is the joint nociceptor. So we find the nerve endings everywhere. So this is why the inflammation here is more pain. And the visceral nociceptors. So one thing which we find in visceral nociceptor is they contain mechanical, thermal, chemical and silent nociceptors. So they have the silent nociceptors. What are the silent nociceptors? They are the receptors which are silent, which they do not get stimulated for touch or anything like that. But when there is inflammation, they start the vicious cycle of transmitting pain on and off. So they are scattered with several millimeters to centimeters between each nociceptor, and these are mostly silent. That is why the movement of the foot, we don't feel the movement of the foot. We don't feel the burning sensation by the acid secreted. That is because of the silent nociceptors, that is which are just keeping quiet until there is inflammation. This is the visceral nociceptor. And talking about silent nociceptors, they are normally unresponsive to noxious mechanical stimulation but become awakened to mechanical stimulation during inflammation and after any tissue injury. So when there is an ulcer in our stomach, we tend to know the burning sensation because the silent nociceptors are stimulated. So continuous stimulation from the damaged tissue reduces the threshold of these nociceptors and causes them to begin to respond, which contribute to the induction of hyperalgesia, central sensitization, allodynia. So hyperalgesia is the threshold is reduced, so even a small stimuli we get stimulated. Allodynia is for the stimuli which are not painful. For those stimuli also they get stimulated, and central sensitization without any stimuli, there's a vicious cycle of pain and things. So this is the representation of, this is the normal polynodal receptor and this is the silent receptor. Normally there won't be any signal transmission, but once it starts, it becomes a very brush-like allodynia signals. So these are the types of nociceptors. So what causes the nociceptor to be activated? Factors that activate nociceptors. One is globulin and protein kinase. So damaged tissue releases globulin and protein kinases, which are believed to be amongst the most active pain producing substances. So minute subcutaneous injections of globulin induce severe pain. So when we want to test the activity of globulin, this we can test. What happens when there is a tissue injury? All the globulin and protein kinases are released and they activate the receptors and cause pain in that region. The second is the arachidonic acid. We know arachidonic acid is released during tissue damage, which metabolize into prostaglandin and cytokines. So when we see the arachidonic acid pathway, we have tissue injury which causes there is an injury to phospholipid cell membrane and which produces arachidonic acid through phospholipase A2. Arachidonic acid undergoes either cyclooxygenase pathway or lipoxygenase pathway. In the cyclooxygenase pathway, it produces the prostaglandin thing, and in lipoxygenase, all the cytokines or the leukotrienes are produced. So here, our NSAIDs will block the cyclooxygenase pathway to prevent the prostaglandin formation. That is the action of the NSAIDs, which we use for pain control. So the action of prostaglandin is mediated through G protein kinase A cascade. The prostaglandins block the potassium efflux released from the nociceptors following damage, which results in additional depolarization, and this makes the nociceptors more sensitive. So the ionic concentration of potassium intracellular and extracellular plays a major role in the depolarization of the sensory nervous system. So this makes the nociceptors more sensitive. Aspirin is effective painkiller because it blocks the conversion of arachidonic acid to prostaglandin. Next is the histamine. Histamine is also released during tissue damage from the mast cells which surrounds the area, and histamine excites the nociceptors. Here we find the tissue damage here, which causes the mast cells to release the histamine. Histamine causes a vasodilation where the other phagocytes come, and these phagocytes in turn stimulate the nociceptors and increasing the pain. We have the Dolder, Robert tumor, all those things happens and it increases the pain here. Next is the nerve growth factor. Inflammation or tissue damage triggers the release of nerve growth factor, which then binds to tyrosine kinase A receptors on the surface of the nociceptors, leading to their activation. And substance P and CGRP, which we are talking about for a long time, is released by during injury and inflammation of tissue damage, which excites the nociceptors. Both peptides produce vasodilation, which results in the spread of edema around the initial damage. So this is how the substance P is released, and they come to the receptors, which causes the ROS protection, and there is a channel through which the potassium is effluxed. When there is an increase in extracellular potassium, there is more depolarization of the sensory nervous system, which causes the conduction of the action potential, which reaches the central nervous system. So this is how it is, not very clear. And the next we talk about potassium. As I already told, most tissue damage results in an increase in extracellular potassium, and there is a good correlation between pain intensity and the local potassium concentration. So normally in a resting state, the intracellular and extracellular potassium levels are in a balanced condition, where there is more potassium on the intracellular area, whereas there is more sodium, chloride, all other things, or calcium on the extracellular region. Next is the serotonin, acetylcholine, and the ATPs. So serotonin also causes the activation of the nociceptors, and it also plays an important role in the neuropathic pain transmission. Muscle spasm. So when the muscles are hyperactive or when blood flow to a muscle is blocked, lactic acid concentration increases and the pain is induced. So when we do strenuous exercises, our muscles get this lactic acid accumulation. That is why that cramps and all will come in the muscles. The greater the rate of tissue metabolism, the more rapidly the pain appears. So when we see here in the muscle there is a glycolysis happening in which there is a lactic acid production. So this has to be removed from the muscle. If it stays inside, then it causes the muscle cramp, which causes the lactic acidosis. So these are the factors which activate the nociceptors. The globulin protein kinase, then arachidonic acid, histamine, nerve growth factor, substance P and CGRP, potassium, serotonin and the lactic acid. This is the peripheral sensitization where the release of substances sensitizes the nociceptors and reduces their threshold. This effect is referred to as peripheral sensitization in contrast to central sensitization that occurs in the dorsal horn. So when the peripheral sensitization means that it happens in the extremities, the central sensitization happens in the spinal cord. And there are nociceptive neurons in the spinal cord as well, which are known as nocineurons. The next lamina, we saw in the last seminar about the dorsal horn have their different laminae. There are 1, 2 to 8, 9, 10. So the lamina 1 contains a higher proportion of nociceptive specific neurons, whereas Rex lamina 2 contains predominantly multi-receptive wide dynamic range of neurons. So this is how the laminae are separated. The nociceptive specific neurons alert the subject when a stimulus is noxious, and the multi-receptive neurons provide subject with information about the parameters of noxious stimuli. So when we touch fire, just for a second if we touch, we don't feel the heat. When we keep our finger in for a long duration, we sense the heat and we tend to withdraw the finger. So that process is happening in this area. So the C fibers release neuropeptides such as substance P, whereas the A delta fibers release glutamate. Both the fibers release different substances for nociception. We know C fibers are unmyelinated, whereas A delta fibers are myelinated fibers. So there are 4 general types of nociceptive neurons, which we already know. It is mechanoceptors, chemical, thermal, and the polymodal nociceptive neurons. The synaptic terminals of the axons of the dorsal root ganglion, which carry noxious information arriving to Rex layers 1 and 2 release neurochemical agents such as substance P, glutamate, aspartate, vasoactive intestinal peptide, cholecystokinin, somatostatin, CGRP, ghrelin and other agents, and which activate the nocineurons, which results in central sensitization. So first is peripheral sensitization and then it is the central sensitization. So we have already seen the types of nociceptors, which factors trigger the nociceptors, and what is peripheral and central sensitization, and what are nocineurons. So this explains the nociceptive pathway of the pain. Thank you.